Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. It's the Friday night show, let's go. How are we all doing? I'm Mark Goldbridge, this is your latest Manchester United news and chats because it is a Friday night show, so I want you to throw your questions in. But we have got some big news stories to talk about on this Friday night. We'll delve into and get some clarity on the PSG entry into the Rasmus Hojlund transfer race. What's going on there? As you know, we get quite good information on Hojlund, but there's also been some good reports on it anyway this evening. We'll give you the latest on that. Also, Erik ten Hag demanding talks with the Glazers about the sale of Manchester United. Yes, this is a genuine quote coming out from Erik ten Hag. And as well, on a potential possible positive this Friday night, Man United could well have cashed £21 million in transfer sales today. Cash back. We'll have some of that. 15 million for Elanga, 6 million for Telles. Bay's meant to be going soon. Fred's meant to be going soon. Henderson's meant to be going soon. We could be topping 60, 70 million very, very quickly, which should then allow us to go and get Amrabat. And then it's about, can we get rid of Maguire and get another centre-back in? So it may not be the transfer window we wanted with the Kim Min-jaes and the Harry Kanes, but you know, there's a big difference between not getting Kim Min-jae, not getting Harry Kane and getting nobody, or not getting Kim Min-jae, not getting Harry Kane, but going and getting Rasmus Hojlund and Nana, you know, salvaging a bad situation, I suppose. So look, maybe there's something to look at there and feel a little bit more positive about. Also, we've got a watch-along tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, Saturday Night Live. Arsenal, can't wait for it. The atmosphere is going to be great, and I can't wait to... In fact, I just can't wait for the next few watch-alongs. I mean, the great thing about the American tour is that we get to replicate what many of you good people do all season. From next Tuesday, Wednesday, early hours in the morning for Real Madrid and Wrexham, and then Dortmund the following few days after, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning kickoffs for us in the UK. So I'm excited about it. Let's get going. Anyway, look, let's hit this story that's come out. There's a story from France about 5 o'clock today that PSG have entered the transfer race for Rasmus Hojlund and they're willing to pay the €60 million fee that Atalanta want. Some people got panicky. Some people said it was bullshit. Fabrizio Romano did a tweet and actually acknowledged it and said, look, Man United's plan remains the same. They want to bid for Rasmus Hojlund soon to avoid a PSG hijack, as revealed yesterday. PSG are speaking to the players' camp, but Manchester United have already agreed terms with Hojlund and are speaking to Atalanta. So first things first, why am I so calm? But first things first, yes, this is not paper talk. This is real talk. PSG do want Rasmus Hojlund. So why are you so positive? Why are you so relaxed, Goldbridge? Because I think the core principle here is, and if I have to message Rasmus and tell him not to go to Paris, I will, but I don't think I need to do that. On behalf of all of the United Stand community, do not go to Paris. You're turning your back on legends if you do that, but don't need to do that because absolutely, categorically, factually true, PSG may well want to buy Rasmus Hojlund, and yes, United could well drop the ball on this deal and mess it up, and he could end up playing for PSG. But actually, as Erik ten Hag said, we know the players that we want, and we're going to do everything we can to get them. And that has worked with Mason Mount, that has worked with Onana, and I think it will work with Rasmus Hojlund, and I actually think it will probably work with Amrabat as well. So I have a confidence that because of ten Hag, look, fair play, you know, give credit to the recruitment team if you want to. I'd sack them all when we get new owners, and you know why? Because I just think we need to clear out anyway, and we could get better. But this is down to ten Hag and the pull that he's got. And I think you've got to have confidence in that. Mark, who's your dream striker for the club, says Sean. At this moment in time, it's Rasmus Hojlund. You know, it's the best you can get. Wow, this is Luna. YouTube won't let me post anymore. Anyway, I never got a ticket to the Dublin game, but will the United Stand be there, says Darren. We will, yes. And Jiri, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for joining the Members Club and supporting the channel. So, look, PSG do want Rasmus Hojlund. PSG are discussing terms with the player. That worries people because it's a little bit like being in a nightclub. You've put the work in with a girl or a boy and you go to the toilet, you come back, someone else is talking to your girl or boy and they're actually letting them buy a drink. You know, they're not slapping him in the face and saying, get off, I'm with him. They're actually smiling and listening to them and letting them buy a drink. But you know what? Don't get jealous. Stay calm. They want to go home with you. They want to marry you. And if you mess it up by storming out of the club, they'll probably go with the person who's buying them a drink. They're just setting up backup options. But we're the number one. We're not the bridesmaid, we're the bride for once. They want us. And that's the case with Rasmus Hojlund. I'm sure he is probably talking to PSG. I'm sure PSG do want to buy him. But Ten Hag has put a lot of work in on this deal, and it's not been in the last week. When did I start saying hotter than the sun? Start of June. Start of June ain't the end of July. We've put a lot of work in for a very long time. He wants to come United. He supports United anyway, but he wants to come to United. Erik Ten Hag doesn't support United. He manages Man United. He wants to come to Manchester United because he wants to come and play for Erik Ten Hag at a massive club with massive potential, with a manager that has basically, like he did with Mason Mount, spelt it out to him what he will do for his development. The Man United thing is important. He supports Man United, so of course he'd want to play for United. But forget that for a minute. He wants to join Man United because Ten Hag has spelt out to him what he's going to do to him to make him one of the greatest strikers in the game. If he goes to PSG, there is no evidence that PSG are going to give him the development that he'll get at Man United. Ten Hag is a better developmental coach area than PSG. PSG is unstable. Their manager could be gone in a year. Their player cycle is not stable. The league is not as strong. The right place for Rasmus Hojlund, and he knows it, is Manchester United. So I'm relaxed. He's relaxed. Ten Hag's relaxed. Anyone you talk to is relaxed. This is Man United's deal to do, and I'm very, very confident that we will get it done. And the only reason it wouldn't get done is if Man United suddenly decide to mess it up and screw it up with Atalanta, and we walk. That's the Kim Min-jae. That's the only. And look, all right. Kim Min-jae did happen this summer, quite recently. Yes, we can drop the ball, but I think hopefully Kim Min-jae is the deal that we fucked and we messed it up, and that'll be the only one we do this summer. I'm very confident he'll come to Manchester United. I'm very relaxed about it, but of course I'm not going to not acknowledge that PSG want him and they're in the race. I mean, for all I know, Bayern Munich might be in the race as well, but United should, and I think will, win this race because of the work we've done and the fact that he wants to come to United, and Ten Hag really wants him to come to Manchester United as well. And also, I think he wants to come because a lot of the reaction that you lot have given him, you know, he's obviously somebody that keeps an eye on social media and is very impressed with what the Man United fan base is as well, and all these things matter, but United have got to get the deal done. And as I said, when it gets done, look, actually, I always felt that this deal will get done in about 10 days' time. The interest of PSG could be a real positive because the interest of PSG is going to force Man United to move quicker. So maybe we will get Here We Go over the weekend. Maybe we will get it early next week now. I wouldn't have thought so because I think for United it makes sense to try and grind a couple of £1 million off and stretch it out until we're back from the tour. Yeah, I think that was going to happen. But with PSG in the race now, I do think, well, maybe United will just crack on with it a little bit quicker and get it done a bit quicker, which is a positive. Can you shout out my mate Stephen Marshall, says John. Yeah, we just did. Welcome, John. And it's great that we have the pulling power again. We can only grow from here as long as we are sold. No more paycheck FC, says Joe. Well, that brings it on to the second thing I want to talk about. Mark, how would you put Hojlund in the 90% club? I mean, you can do. I put Mason Mount in there. Should we put him in the 90% club? I'm happy to put him in the 90% club. I mean, to be honest with you, he's in the hotter than the sun club. He can't be in every club. He's not out clubbing. We need him focused on the team. But no, I'm very, very confident, and I have been very confident for a number of weeks now. So I'm not changing that stance. And if I did, I would be honest with you. I wouldn't just do it just to try and pretend. Enrique's got more pull, says the Ferocious. I disagree. Pochettino's got more pull. Ancelotti's got more pull. Tuchel's got more pull. They've all been managers at PSG and they've all been sacked. It's a very unstable football club that clearly doesn't know its arse from its elbow in relation to what it wants to do. I do not think PSG is the right place for him at all. I really don't. I think the right place for him is Manchester United. I think that's what he wants as well. Simple as. Let's talk. But look, you're right. I think the sale process really does underpin, you know, the next stage of Manchester United. And it was very interesting to read what Laurie Whitwell tweeted out earlier about Manchester United and what Erik Ten Hag had been saying as he wanders around trying to find the actual quote from it. Yeah, here we go. So Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic put this out a couple of hours ago. Ten Hag has said this: he would like to speak to the owners about the takeover in the United States while he's here. I'm more often in contact with them, so this is a good opportunity to share ideas and we can talk informally. It's obvious and I can give advice and recommendation, but the decision is on the club. So look, again, I spoke about this in the press conference reaction. You know, very good question from Adam. I think it was the best question there about the striker crisis, and he acknowledged it and said it's the same as last year. We're going to have to just get on and try and be successful with it, and hope that we can get, you know, lucky with injuries and spread the goals out. Who's better, Lissandro or Saliba? They both play together for me. They're a very good partnership, Wyatt, because one's right-footed and one's left. It's like saying who's a better right winger or left winger. I just babyish comments. Go back to the Arsenal channel. That's where that sort of stuff belongs. Who's better, Saliba or Martinez? They're playing the same bloody centre-back partnership, you prat. No, I can't be bothered with babyish comments like that. Who's better, Saka or Rashford? I like both. I'm mature and can watch football. Anyway, back on track with the mature comments. Let's say this. Ten Hag obviously doesn't mind talking about the big stories. I think if you said to Solskjaer, what's he got to say about the ownership and the sale, he'd probably go, they're good guys, the Glazers, let's let them get on with it. But Ten Hag says, I'm in America, I want to talk to them about the takeover. Let's have a chat. It's a good opportunity to share ideas. We can talk informally as well. It doesn't have to be on the record. And it's obvious that I can give them some advice and recommendations for the decision on the club. And they must make that decision. What does all that mean? Somebody in the chat says, what does that actually mean? I'll tell you what that means. That means, in plain English, that Erik ten Hag wants to sit down with the Glazers while he's in America, because that's where they live, and he wants to talk to them informally about the future of Manchester United and give his recommendations and advice. What are those recommendations and advice? Well, he's already given us it. He's already given us the recommendations in previous press conferences since January. He'll sit them down and he'll basically say that Man United will have another 10 years like the last 10 years if you run it like you have done for the last 10 years. Manchester United, if you want to compete and go to the next level, then you have to spend like Man City and Newcastle. And if you haven't got that in your plan, then now is the time to sell. If you think something's going to happen that's going to allow you to not spend £2 billion on the stadium, or go back to taking dividends each year and get by, or for some ridiculous fantasy you think that I'm Sir Alex Ferguson reincarnated and I'm going to win your titles and make your money, you're wrong. You're very, very wrong. You need to sell if any part of you think you're going back to what you've done for the last 10 years, because you'll die. The club will die, and you will die with it as business people. You will lose a lot of money. If you are going to suddenly start chucking billions into the club, by all means stay, give me the money, let's crack on. You can deal with the backlash from the fans, but if the money's there, I can make us successful. If your plan is to stay with 20% and give it to Sir Jim, and he's going to get rid of the debt and spend loads of money, let's get on with it. But if you're not going to do that, sell it to Qatar, go away, and I'll build a football club. But I think that's what Ten Hag's going to do, and I think that's what he's basically saying. I'll speak to them informally, and I'll give them my honest recommendations. And it's not about sitting down there and going, you've destroyed this football club. He doesn't need to do that. I think he's actually going to sit down and say what you, I, or anybody else would say. Let's cut through the crap. Let's forget the last 17 years. Let's forget the last 10 years. Let's forget the protest. Let's forget the Super League. Let's just say it how it is. If you think you're going to continue running this club like you have, you're idiots, and you need to sell now. If you're going to find a way to chuck billions in, stay. Let's get on with it. If you're not, sell it to the person who will, make your money and jog on. And that's basically what we've been saying for the last 6 months. And I think that's what Ten Hag's going to say. Now, somebody else might say something very different to them, but he's the manager of Man United. His loyalty is to Manchester United, and he knows what it takes to win. And the current situation where he's buying a 20-year-old striker in July and he needs 3 will be what he's saying. He'll be saying, look, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Onana. I'm grateful for Mount. I'm grateful for Hojlund. I'm grateful for Amrabat, hopefully, and maybe a centre-back. I'm grateful for them, and it helps. But in all honesty, if I want to win the league, I need another 200 million, and you'll never give me that. So I think that's what he's saying, and I think that's what he would say to the Glazers. I think he's trying to give them a nudge in the right direction, because, as we know, the Glazers are undecided. And I think the Glazers that want to stay are looking forward and going, maybe there's a big TV deal. Maybe there's a way we can make loads of money again. And I think he's just going to say to them, no, that's not football anymore. What you've done for the last 10, 20 years, bleeding the club, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do it. There's too many clubs with money now. Arsenal aren't even considered to be, billionaire club. They've just spent £200 million when they finish second. And they'll probably spend a bit more. This is what needs to happen. Leon says, I love your content, Mark. Have been watching everything since last year. Keep up the great work. And how are your Friday drinks? Leon, the only Friday drink I've had tonight is a Lemsip. I actually had a few drinks last night. Got a bit of a sniffle. Went a bit hard last night. And it sort of knocked my immune system down. So if I have drinks tonight, I think I'm pushing it a little bit. So I'm having the Lemsips, probably have a bit of an early night and get ready for a late one tomorrow night. But hopefully I'll have a drink tomorrow night with the watch along, actually. Kane refuses new contract. Join any team he wants next season. Wrexham come calling, says Phil. What time does the game kick off tomorrow night, says Kevin? So it's a 10 p.m. UK kickoff, which I think is 3 p.m. New York time. I can't wait to see howlers from Anana, says Ravsky. That's because you're a sad little individual who celebrates other people's failures. But actually, the truth is, anybody who does that needs to look in the mirror because it means they're very unhappy themselves. If you're somebody that celebrates and prays for other people to fail, it means there's something inherently wrong with you. Seek help. Going to my first Man United game tomorrow at MetLife Stadium, hoping for Onana to start. Spencer, on that tomorrow, with regards to Onana, I really don't see any reason why he wouldn't get... I don't know about that. I don't really know about that. Mark, do you know the guy from UPTV? I kind of like the guy until he started talking nonsense about you. What is his deal? Mate, there are other channels out there, Paddock, and there's websites like... trying to think of a United website now. What's the guy? I forget what his name is now. I feel really bad. Anyway, I'm aware of it, but do I spend any time talking about other United channels? No. I did about 5 or 6 years ago. It's babyish again. It's like, who's better, Saka or Rashford? If these people are talking about me to you on their channels or on their websites or on their forums, then again, I've just told you, they need to self-reflect because their problem is not with me, it's with themselves. Is there jealousy in their life? Is there bitterness in their life? I don't know who they are in the sense of, if you told me, I'd probably go, oh, I've heard of it. Definitely don't watch it. I'm definitely not interested. Crack on doing what you're doing. It's quite hard to make content, so respect. Yes, we're number one. Yes, we're massive. Yes, we're the best. But not because I say so, because facts say so. Do something about it yourselves. Like, I'm not interested in your little battles or slagging people off. And in fact, I've met a lot of these people and they wouldn't say boo to a goose. So, I get accused of sitting on a keyboard. I get out and about. I see people. And if everyone's got a problem, come and say it to my bloody face. And we'll have a chat about it. I mean, I just grow up. Grow up. You manage a small channel. I'm bigger. The United Stand's bigger. Deal with it. What does it matter? You're only in charge of your own destiny. What does it matter what anyone else is doing? I'm bored of it. I can't get involved in those sort of things, Nicholas. Thanks for the super chat, though. Teles, here we go, Mark, says Sensi. I mean, look, I just want to say on that, there's loads for us to talk about tonight, but I can't be bothered with the infighting within the fan base. It's there all the time. Goldbridge hasn't got any sources. The United Stand's so negative. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that was true. But I think for the last 18 months, we've been ridiculously positive about Ten Hag because the club is doing better and we can see stuff. And I'm probably not, I've enjoyed the last 18 months. It's quite stable, really. We've had some terrible results like Liverpool and Newcastle and Man City. But ultimately, we're heading in the right direction with this manager. And I just can't be arsed with, what it is. It's just little man or little woman syndrome, isn't it? Or little them or whatever people identify as the correct wording these days. But it's insecurity. That's what it is. Jealousy and insecurity. It's like people who start slagging people off because ultimately they're just jealous. We all support the same club. People support the club in the different ways. I don't care. I really don't. I've seen people complain and moan that we've only got 15 million for Elanga, says Kevin. You know what? I do want to talk about that. 21 million pounds. Apparently the Tellez deal, well, whether it's 4 million or 6 million, 15 million for Elanga. Let's split the odds and say 5 million for Tellez. That's 20 million quid for 2 peripheral players. I mean, when we're adding up, I think that the I look at, for me, what I'm trying to say is if we've got to sell to buy, and I think if we want Amrabat, we have, then I automatically go Fred 20 million, Henderson 20 million. There's 40 million. Well, we've just made 20 million from Elanga and Tellez. So for me, that's it's obvious, it's easy, but United don't sell well. So again, it's a little bit like Mount and Onana, isn't it? I don't think Mount or Onana's transfer fees are amazing. I think they're standard. I think they're market value. I'm not saying that's bad. Fair play, well done. I don't think you're bloody Alan Sugar. I don't think you're great business people, but it's fine. And again, I think Elanga for 15 million and Tellez for 5 million, making 20 million. That's probably about market value, really. One's a little bit cheaper than I would have thought. One's a little bit more expensive than I would have thought. But we know Fred's going 20 million, so there's 40 million there. Henderson's surely going to go 60 million. And I can think of another couple of players that could go. So we could get to that magic 100 million, which would be great. If someone... Sorry. Let me just read this. If someone is talking about you, it means they're listening. Only positive, says Bill. Exactly. Can you give a shout out to my son Liam, as it's his first Man United game tomorrow, says Spencer White. C. Jackin, welcome to the Members Club. We need a striker ASAP. It's ridiculous we have no strikers on pre-season tour. Yeah, well, we asked him, check out the press conference because we asked him about that. Hi, Mark. With Elanga and Tellez sold, is that enough to bid for Amrabat, or do we need to sell Fred first? Leo, I don't think it really matters. I mean, maybe Elanga and Tellez help us get Hojlund over the line, but we know Fred's coming. Money's coming in from Fred, so yeah, I think we should be there in relation to Fred. But I just want to say, on the Elanga deal, G-Man says 15 million for Elanga is a great deal. I think it's a fantastic deal. I really do, because I'm never going to not. People go, oh, you're negative. I think there's a lot to be negative about around United, especially the sale and how we're run, especially over the last few years. But when we do something right, I'm not that sort of person. Like, if there's something to moan about, I will moan. But when we do something right, I'll applaud it. But I'll also say, well, look, you've done it once. I mean, look, a piece of gold surrounded by loads of shit is still a piece of gold surrounded by loads of shit. I think, unfortunately, some people see United do something good and celebrate it too much, because it's a little bit like McTominay when he has 20 bad games and 1 good game, and then he has another 20 bad games, and people just go mad about, told you so, told you he was good. The whole point of being good is consistency, and Ten Hag was on about this today. United doing 1 good deal, I'd rather they did 1 bad deal surrounded by loads of good deals than what we do get is 1 good deal surrounded by loads and loads of bad deals. But the Elanga deal for 15 million quid is absolutely, I think it's a good deal, because, I mean, ultimately, is this not legacy of Rangnick? I mean, where does the value of Elanga come from? He hasn't scored a goal in about a year. He hasn't played well in about a year. The only time he did anything good was under Rangnick, and yet someone's paying 15 million quid for him. So I don't understand why someone's paying 15 million for him. I've always said I like Elanga, and I do think there might be something there. But it's not obvious, it's not evidential, and it's certainly not in the last 12 months. So to get 15 million quid for a player that's done nothing in the Ten Hag era, I think, first of all, Rangnick should be acknowledged, because he's the one that's given any glimpse of Elanga. And secondly, I think the club have done really well. I think it's a good deal, because I can't see why he's worth 15 million. And I wish him all the best, and I like him. But, sometimes you've got to be blunt. Where's the evidence from last season that Alanga is worth 15 million? Omar says, I'd rather have a striker no matter what over Sales if we end up going down the wire. Prefer Hojlund, but wouldn't mind Mawani. Just need a number 9, says Omar. And Mark, I still have 100% confidence in Donny van der Beek. He will have a breakout season. He will be a dynamic threat whenever Mason Mount needs a rest, says Desert Hunter. But do you not think that when Mason Mount needs a rest, it'll be Christian Eriksen that plays? I mean, this is my problem with Donny. I like Donny. I don't mind Donny having a breakout season and working, but where's his path to the first team? And I think that, you know, the interesting thing with Donny van der Beek will be great goal on Wednesday, big game tomorrow, big game against Real Madrid, big game against Dortmund. How many minutes does he get? How many minutes does he get? Ab says, you're a hypocrite as you were ripping him apart last year. Mate, you're thick. Look, it's Friday night show. If you want to give it a little bit, you'll get a little bit black. So Abdi says, you're a hypocrite because you were ripping him apart last year. I presume we're talking about Alanga. What about me just saying he did nothing last year makes your comment relevant? So you're saying I was ripping Alanga apart last year. I've literally just said he did nothing last year. I'm not going to pretend that he didn't do well last year. He was bloody terrible when he came on. But I do think there's a player there. I do feel sorry for him. I think he's a young player that should have gone on loan to the Championship and developed, but we kept him for a year and a half because we've got no strikers and he was a bench warmer to supplement the attacking squad because we didn't have anybody. But he was crap last year. I think there's a player there maybe, but I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how do you know a hypocrite is somebody who says one thing and then says something completely different. Saying the same thing is not what a hypocrite is, mate. I think you're one of those people that says big words and don't know what they mean. Van der Beek should be at Rotherham, says Vincent. I actually think Van der Beek could be another £15 million. I mean, that's the ridiculous thing. How much do you get? That's how good the Alanga deal is. Because I don't think we get much more than 20 million for Donny, and yet we've just got 15 million for Alanga. That's how good I think the Alanga deal could be. I can't see us getting any more than 20 for Donny, and I think that's a fair price. We just got Alanga for 15. So, you know, but I think Donny will end up going. God, my nose is running like a tap. Quicker than Maguire. Yeah, I think it's I think Donny will have to go because I just don't see how he gets in. We've got too many midfielders that do the same thing. They're more attacking than they are defending. And the only defensive midfielder we've got is Casemiro. And it's absolutely essential that we bring Amrabat in. So can you see a situation where you've got Casemiro, Amrabat, McTominay, Eriksen, Mount, Bruno, and Donny, and Mainu? That's 8 midfielders for 3 positions that we just don't need. You need a maximum of 6 and a young player, really. So yeah, don't see that happening. And I think there will be a few clubs looking at Donny van der Beek and going, for £20 million, he's worth a look. I mean, somebody just mentioned Brighton there. I don't know whether Brighton would look at Donny van der Beek, but I can see what you mean. Do you think Harry Maguire is going to stay, Mark? Mate, look, I'm calm on this. Because my stance is that 100% he should go. On a personal level, he should go. From my opinion, he should go. I think from what's happening from Ten Hag's side, he should go. And I'll explain those 3 things. Ten Hag, you're his 4th or 5th choice centre-back. You've had your captaincy taken off you, and the only way you're going to play is if people get injured. From me, I've watched you for 3.5 years, and I just don't think you're good enough. And you're 31 this season, and your biggest problem is you're slow. And you're not. People in their 30s don't get quicker, trust me. And from your own point of view, you've lost the captaincy, your 4th choice centre-back, you're still England's centre-back, miraculously or not, but how can you keep that spot when you're not playing? Like, that's the thing to cling on to in your career. You need to play first-team football. So, for me, the most logical thing is that he goes. But I've said all summer, I don't think he will. I think when he said that interview about nothing to prove, that was a glimpse into the personality that I think he's comfortable. And when somebody says they've got nothing to prove, that's because they think that they've made it and they're comfortable. And that's not a criticism, it's a glimpse. I've got nothing to prove. And that was what, in March? So I think he's comfortable at Manchester United. Obviously he's on very good money, but I think he's happy and comfortable at Manchester United. And I don't think he's got the ambition to up sticks and go and play first team football elsewhere. So I think he probably will stay. Same with Scott McTominay. And probably the same with a couple of other players at Man United. I would say Anthony Martial, Brandon Williams maybe. I wouldn't put Sancho in that category yet because I still think Sancho can turn it around and he's a talented player. But I think there are a number of players at United over certainly the last 10 years that shouldn't be here, but personality-wise are coasters. They're coasters. They're just like, I'll sit here and do that. And some people defy that. They say, well, no, footballers aren't like they're driven individuals who want to win. I would laugh at that because this summer has hopefully opened the eyes of every football fan that thinks footballers are like you, obsessed with the club that you support, all about passion, all about morals, all about devotion, and all about winning. If this summer hasn't opened your eyes up, nothing ever will. And you know what I'm talking about? Saudi Arabia. You've got players now, some of them haven't even gone public yet, that are desperate to get on the gravy train in Saudi Arabia. They will leave clubs that have done well last season in the Premier League, gained a lot of praise and credit for their competitive against the odds football, and yet managers, players are like, yeah, that's all fine and well. I want to go and earn 500 grand a week and set myself up for life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it just shows you a lot of these players are happy to just coast it for the money. What's the difference between sitting on United's bench, earning a few £1,000s a week, going to Saudi Arabia in a league that's basically God knows what, and earning thousands of pounds a week? It's a glimpse into the mentality of some footballers. It's about the money. We don't understand it as fans. We're like, how can you be happy to sit on the bench? How can you be happy to sit on the bench when you could be playing first team football for somebody else competitive? Well, because I'm earning really good money sitting on this bench, and I can earn really good money sat in Saudi Arabia as well. It's just the modern game and what it's all about with some players. Now, I think when you look at someone like Bruno Fernandes, if he was on the bench at Man United, you'd get a transfer request. I want to go and play football. He's been offered Saudi Arabia. I don't want the money. I want to play in a competitive league. And there are people like that, but not everybody's like that. Alanga for 15 million surprised me because I thought he'd go for 8 to 11 because he's not been great, says Ray. I agree, Ray. Yeah, get your questions in. Surely the 22 million from Tellez and Alanga has to be put towards Amrabat. It's becoming another Kim Min-jae flop deal, says Daniel. Well, the Amrabat deal, I think Beth was talking about it this afternoon. There's a lot of different stories around Amrabat at the moment, but I think it's fair to say something's definitely going on there. And also, United probably need to move quite quick. So hopefully, when I look at the transfers now, Onana was a one-horse race and Mason Mount ended up being a one-horse race, and it took a long time to get those deals done. With Hojlund and Amrabat, it looks like there's some competition going on there. So that could speed things up. So where Onana and Mount took a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, I think with Amrabat and Hojlund, we're going to have to move a little bit quicker because of the competition, which for us is good. I would rather us give Donny another chance and sell McTominay. For some reason, he's valued higher and they are the same age. Move McTominay on, says Brandon. I think McTominay sort of got away with it a little bit. Maybe because of Maguire, because of other transfer business. I mean, Scott McTominay's just sort of got away with it, hasn't he? Fred's been mentioned as a sale, but McTominay's just sort of... he's not getting any headlines. It's sort of like, oh, no one's talking about me. I'll coast through until the season starts and then I've made it. And really, he should be going. Really, this club's interested in him. He could be playing first team football as well. And he's not good enough to play for Man United. So he is somebody that should be going. But of course, I think he's comfortable as well and wants to stay at United. But, if we're being honest, and we've been honest about Alanga, and I like Alanga, McTominay had a bad season. He started off quite well. He kept Casemiro out the team for the first few weeks, but as soon as Casemiro got his place in September, I don't think McTominay had a good game again. had a few good games for Scotland, but United, I can't remember a good game since last September. So yeah, he should be on the list to go, but I know it doesn't look like he will be. Mark, are you happy that Adam didn't ask a question about Maguire to Ten Hag like what happened last season, says Arturo? Well, I thought Adam's question in the press conference was fantastic because it was about the lack of strikers, but actually that was probably one press conference where a question about Maguire would have been quite interested, but there was plenty about him anyway, to be fair. Get your questions in anyway. It is the Friday night show. Siddharth says Eric Bailly is heading off to Saudi Arabia as well. Yeah, well, I think with Bailly and Tellez, any money we get is a bonus. So what, 5 million for Tellez, get another 5 million for Bailly. Happy days. I mean, look, they weren't really at the club last year. They were on loan and we were paying some of their wages. So those players have got to go. I think with Eric Bailly, I felt like Eric Bailly left a year ago. As soon as Eric Ten Hag came in and did... And remember, Eric Bailly did all right on pre-season, didn't he? He played a couple of games in pre-season and did all right. And then was loaned out straight away. So it's obvious that Eric Ten Hag had made his mind up about Bailly. He's got no intention of giving him another chance. I think that's probably the right thing, to be honest, because of his injury record. So, you just need to cut ties with these players and move them on. And it's a shame with Bailly because I think if... Bailly played quite a lot of football for us at the start, and then it's just sort of gradually been neglected. He's a funny player, Eric Bailly. I mean, I know Ricky was like, never really liked him, but I thought Eric Bailly actually always got a bad ride. I don't know what the real issue was, because sometimes he'd come into the team and do really, really well, and then he'd get dropped again. Ollie did it the most, didn't he? Ollie was just obsessed with Lindelof and Maguire, but I think sometimes Bailly came in and played really well, and then he'd get dropped again. MSL into Miami, Mark, just like Saudi League at the moment, says Chris Davies. Money, mate, isn't it? Money. Sancho, McTominay, Fred should go this summer. We can replace them, says Sammy. Well, I don't think Sancho's going to go anywhere. He's like Martial, isn't he? He's unsellable. But the difference with Sancho is, at the moment, he's getting game time. And if Rashford plays down the middle, he's still got a chance of getting game time anyway, off the left-hand side. I wouldn't judge Sancho too severely at the moment, because I don't think he's been very good in pre-season. But he's playing up front. And we know up front, even for a striker, is a graveyard shift. And we've been playing a guy who's not a striker there. So I think until Sancho goes back to the wing, and I'm not naive. I remember the last time he was on the wing, it was the FA Cup final. He was bloody dreadful. But that's where his chance is. I think at the start of the season, I think Rashford will be playing up front. And therefore, it will be a straight fight between Sancho and Garnacho for the left wing. And I've got to be honest, why wouldn't it be Garnacho? And the way he came on last season and developed from the start to the end was massive in relation to curve and consistency. And his performance in the FA Cup final, he was man of the match. So for me, Garnacho is ahead of Sancho, and it doesn't mean anything, but I'm interested to see what team Ten Hag picks tomorrow, because anything on the young goalkeeper from Japan, Darren, apparently they don't want him to leave until January, but Man United want him now. The team I would pick tomorrow would be my first team for 45 minutes, and then I would put the reserves out in the second half. Now, Ten Hag might mix it. He might say, let's play Martinez and Lindelof, and in the second half we play Varane and Maguire, even though we know Martinez and Varane are starting too. Or he might go with his strongest team. Now, if he goes with his strongest team tomorrow, then Onana's in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, Mount, Bruno, Garnacho, Rashford, Antony. That's the team I would pick. But he might go Sancho, Rashford. He might go Eriksen, Bruno. So I don't think we'll learn it if he picks it, but he might mix it up. He might start Donny tomorrow. He might start Fernandes at left back and put Luke Shaw on in the second half. We don't know, but it's. I think it's a really interesting game tomorrow, because it's also the first time we get to see Bruno, Rashford, Luke Shaw, and Casemiro and all these players that have been on the international duty and haven't played in the first two games. Ahmad is better than Sancho, says Neil. Well, look, we've got to find a solution with Jadon Sancho. The best solution is always that they find their form and stay. But obviously, it's a very big season for him. I mean, look, I can't lie. I can't speak. I played the game. I can't lie. I think this season would and should be a massive season for Anthony. It's season 2. Some people were on your back last year. Some people had your back last year. In season 2, the people who had your back can't have it if you have another inconsistent season, and the people who were on your back will be proved right. But if you have a good season, the people who were on your back were idiots for doing it too soon, and the people who had your back have been proved right. So it's a massive season for Anthony in season 2. Having said that, it is a big season for Anthony, but what is it for someone like Jadon Sancho? It's season 3 for him, and he's not switched on yet. So yeah, there's big competition. Somebody's just mentioned Pellistri. I think he'll get loaned out, but you never know if he has a good pre-season. Ahmad as well. There's good competition for our wide players, and consistency is the key. You know, I think Anthony suffers with consistency. I think his passion and fight is exactly what you want. He's got the right character and the right personality. He needs to find some consistency as well. How were we not in for Okafor for 10 million? Would have been a decent backup striker with loads of upside. Delicate official. I like Okafor. I've mentioned Okafor before. He's Salzburg, isn't he? I always forget who he plays for. Off to Milan apparently, but yeah, Milan are doing some quite business. I mean, for them, they're doing some quite good business. I think they're getting Chukwueze as well from, is it Villarreal? Stia says, lack of strikers, even with Hojlund coming in, meaning Rashford up front. Maybe that's how Erik ten Hag sees Sancho's chance at Man United. Only Garnacho to battle, to see it. Look, I think with Marcus Rashford, you never know with Rashford what he can go and do over the summer. You know, Rashford puts a lot of work in, like a lot of players do, and his physique seems to get, you know, more toned every summer. Look, mate, look, I trust Ten Hag, and Rashford's a hard worker. And look, maybe as a number 9, it's going to really, really work. I just prefer him off the left. I think Rashford with the ball at his feet, running at people, that's his best trait. You can't do that as a number 9. You're running in behind onto the ball, or you're having the ball to your feet. You don't pick the ball up in the centre forward position, turn around and have 10 metres to run at your fullback. It's not how it works. So Savage says it's Rashi's time to shine. Maybe he's just going to become that complete centre forward this year. It's happened in the past with people with wingers who go up front. But I'm not going to lie. The thing I like about Rashford is when he's out on the wing with a bit of space, running at people. But his movement in the box is better. His aerial ability is better. And maybe this is the season where he becomes better in other areas as a striker, because it's very clear to me that I think Ten Hag's going to use him as a striker. Felicity says, I recently lost the love for United. This last year I've started enjoying watching them again, and the community has really helped. So many people say that, Felicity. Over the years, so many people have said that this community that we have has, you know, enhanced people's opinions and love for United, because it's, you know, we're always talking about it, aren't we? It's a little bit too much for some people, I know. They just want to watch games and leave it. Ian Wright said it in an advertisement. He said, I played the game. I played the game. Yeah, they all listen. They all nick our catchphrases. Go by Casido is still in Brighton. I love him. What a player, says Lillis. But would you spend £100 million on Casido? I wouldn't. I'd like, if we had £100 million lying around, I would, but I wouldn't spend £100 million on Casido. Fair play to Brighton for getting it, but I think it's not what we're about this summer. We can't do that. If we had £100 million, I'd be saying get 2 or 3 players, because we need to build the squad out. We'll not be happy if we get a Hojlund here. PSG, here we go, says Tomo. Well, I mean, I'm not expecting it. I'm very relaxed. I'd be devastated. I'd be shocked. I'd be stunned. LJ says, hello Mark, hope the show is going well. Going to my first Man United game, as I live in New York, so I can't miss this chance. I hope to see Onana play. Let's run a poll on that. Do you think we'll see Onana play tomorrow? Will Onana play tomorrow? It's for me, I think he will. but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. And there's a real reason for this. Man United on tour, you want the hype, you want the buzz, you want to please the fans. So Onana plays. And what's the damage? He's trained today anyway. Why not do it? He's a goalkeeper. So I think he will. The reason I think he might not is because of this guy, Ten Hag. We know what Ten Hag's like when it comes to players who haven't trained much and game time. He might just go, not enough training sessions, he'll play against Real Madrid. But I think he can play tomorrow, and I think he will play tomorrow. But I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, because we know Ten Hag can be quite strict about stuff like that. He'll only play 45 minutes, but Casemiro's only going to play 45 minutes. Bruno's only going to play. Like, we'll literally have two teams playing. There'll be a first half team and a second half team. Hi, Mark, but it could be Heaton and Henderson. Hi, Mark, do you think if Rasmus got lots of goals this year, we could go for an Osman or Kane next summer, or would we go for a backup love from Australia, says Daniel? Look, I think if you're a big club trying to achieve big things, you go and get a big striker. Because, look, I said it probably back in May. My ideal summer would be Hojlund and Ferguson, or Kane and Hojlund. Osman and Ferguson, or Kane and Hojlund. Younger striker working with experienced striker. That's what Man City have got with Haaland and Alvarez. I mean, look, age-wise, I don't think they're actually that far off, but Haaland is a very experienced striker for what his age is. He's one of the best in the world, if not the best. And then you got Alvarez there as well. That's how you achieve things, isn't it? That's how you do it. When is the kickoff tomorrow? 10 p.m. tomorrow night. We'll get cooked by Arsenal in the second half. I have a feeling about it, says Rohan. Well, look, this is the interesting thing about the game tomorrow. Arsenal are good. They could, if we get beat 4 or 5-1 tomorrow, it's only pre-season, but it still sends a message. If we beat Arsenal 3-0 tomorrow, it's only pre-season, but it does still send a message. I mean, it does send a message. I remember us playing Liverpool in the USA. Remember when Pereira scored and I went mad because I liked Pereira from a free kick? We were absolutely crap though. And I don't think we had many good players anyway. I think it was after a summer tournament, so I don't think everybody was there. So it really doesn't matter. But this pre-season, there is no summer tournament. Everybody's got their best players out there. It is a little bit more of a statement. And I think, it will be a statement tomorrow if we win, and it will be a statement if they win. How much of a statement, I don't know, but it's all little, even a 1% advantage can help you going into the season. Sohail says that Ornstein's just tweeted that we placed our first bid for Hojlund, 55 plus €5 million. Hope it gets done. And Michael says, I could see United trying for Tony in the winter if his suspension is lifted. Thank you very much, Michael. Well, I'll just have a quick check on that for you. I don't know whether Ornstein has just tweeted that. I mean, if he has, that's good news. If he hasn't, I worry for people who bother to do a super chat to try. I mean, he hasn't tweeted. I mean, I really worry about the mental health of these people. I really do, because I'm like, Man United are going to bid for Rasmus Hojlund, and PSG do want him, and we are going to bid. So if you're sat there going, I've just fooled 15,000 people, well, I don't feel fooled. At some point we are going to get a bid that goes in, and at some point we will get a here we go, and I just think it's a little bit sad. It's like what I was saying before about this person who's been slagging me off on his outlet. I don't really know what you do, mate, and I don't really care. It's just weird behaviour. Yeah, it's just weird behaviour. But it will get, we will get a bid going in at some point. Maybe it'll be 10 days, maybe it'll be tomorrow. But I'm very confident about Rasmus Hojlund. 76% of you think Onana will play tomorrow. Hi, Mark. Is there any decent striker at the moment that are out of contract? Mandy. I think the only one I can remember was Thuram, and I think he went to AC Milan, didn't he? So United shouldn't be looking for those sorts of players anyway. I mean, it's Glazeronomics, if we're being honest, Mandy, isn't it? You're helping the Glazers out. Who's cheap that we can get? I don't think we need to be looking at it like that. Anyway, look, I need to get some rest. Big game tomorrow. Need to get some rest tonight. You've been an absolutely brilliant audience as ever. Make sure you get a great evening. Remember, tomorrow night we've got the watch along. We'll be back in the morning as well. I think we've got a bit of preview in New York as well with Adam. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. Have a great day, evening, or whatever you're doing.